Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is TamezTech and welcome to a brand new video. It looks like you guys have been enjoying these videos lately, so I am very happy to make them for you. This is part 4, yeah, I've been making a lot of these today, so I hope that you guys are enjoying them. If you do, please let me know in the comments down below. But yeah, we are already expert. We hit expert. That was kind of our goal with the Go Battle Day event. So now I'm just gonna run whatever my chat tells me to. I'm not super worried or tripping about gaining elo or dropping elo or whatnot. So at this point, I just want to play and I want to have fun. And what do you know? We are running Meowscarada lead, Chargebug save swap, Drifblim in the back. Meowscarada, as you guys knew, I made a video on it a few weeks ago, and this Pokemon is insanely good in this meta. It is actually such a core breaker for so many teams, and you guys will see in this video that we actually do get some pretty decent matchups into it. Drifblim, I've also missed for quite a while. I feel like Drifblim kind of lost a little bit of play, especially when Gastrodon got Water Pulse. It's just not the wall that it used to be for it anymore. And there's so many sucker punchers everywhere that Drifblim unfortunately has kind of died out in the meta. But thankfully, we are able to see a little bit of play for it today. So let's get into these battles and you guys will see what I'm talking about. Into the first battle here, we got Meowscarada into Scizor. Absolutely the worst possible lead for us. I mean, maybe not the worst, but it's so bad. My opponent brings in Corsola here, and man, I sure wish I had the out-of-pocket signature crunch Chargebug here. Unfortunately, since we don't have it, we are just gonna have to lose switch advantage here. There's no way to take switch here, so spending shields to try and flip this matchup is just gonna end in tragedy. The good thing here though is that Meowscarada does wall the fast move here, maybe I can make something happen and get a lot of energy here. I'm gonna try to make a cheeky play here and call a Nightshade for my opponent, and we get the call right. Very nice. At this point, I can just farm up to the back-to-back Night Slashes here and have some energy ready for that Scizor. If they bring in Scizor or not, I don't care. I'm just going to throw this Night Slash instantly, get the shield, and bring in my Drifblim. I know Scizor could just stay in here and probably just bullet punch me all the way down, but I'm hoping my opponent's not going to do that. My opponent tries to make a catch on their Gastrodon, which is really decent for us because we call the catch, we can full send a Shadow Ball now, and hopefully Astonish all the way down. So let's see what we can do here. My opponent tries to cap tie us. It's not going to work out for them. I'm just going for the Astonish down. They full send the Water Pulse, which is definitely ideal for us. And now I can just throw this Icy Wind. Unfortunately though, I guess I should have tried to catch here because my opponent just instantly sends the move, and yeah, we lose the game. So if I make the catch there and I make the read that my opponent is going to instantly throw, we actually just win, right? Because we get to the back-to-back Icy Winds, but unfortunately we don't make the call. All right, we see Dugong in the lead in the next match, and honestly, this is a pretty bad lead for us. We are ABA to Ice, as most teams are nowadays, but I'm able to safely bait this Dugong, catch on Chargebug, sneak 4 turns worth of energy, and baby, we are back in it. My opponent brings in Gastrodon, which of course I rather see on my Drifblim or on my Meowscarada, but we do have a shield advantage, so it's pretty inevitable to see that we're kind of just stalling here, getting rid of our Chargebug, and I'm gonna go for a crazy farm down with my Meowscarada. So my opponent, they can't farm us all the way down. They do have to throw energy whether they like it or not, because Chargebug will get to a third X Scissor. So now I'm just gonna bring in Drifblim actually to try to get that energy lead, and my opponent instantly pivots into Dugong. So that's pretty good for us, right? We call that they're gonna instantly pivot because they've burned the clock so much, right? So I'm just gonna instantly throw this Shadow Ball, and if they shield it, I feel like my Meowscarada should be able to farm down. My opponent tries to call the bait, it doesn't work out. I know that this Gastrodon has a lot of energy, and it's a suspicious bring in Gastrodon here when they're gonna get farmed down. So I am gonna shield this move. And what do you know? It was definitely the right call. They have an Altaria in the back. My opponent did not wait their clock enough on their Dugong, so I'm going to be able to get to double Icy Wind here. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna leave this matchup. We actually do Captai there, which is really nice. So we get a double debuff Sky Attack onto us, which shouldn't knock out. I'm going to leave this matchup to guarantee that I can get a non-debuffed Astonish into Altaria later. I bring in Meowscarada, throw the Night Slash. My opponent does not want to smoke. We are going to be able to take this game. Very, very fun plays there for sure. On to the next battle here. We got Meowscarada into Furret. I mean, we have a very decent matchup here, not going to lie. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to full send the Frenzy Plant right before they get their second Swift. And if they no shield, this Frenzy should practically knock them out. If it doesn't though, I might be looking into pivoting because I don't want to throw my Meowscarada out right away. What do you know? The Furret no shields, they get knocked out by Frenzy, and we are back in the game, baby. They bring in Fearow, and I know that 2 Night Slashes are going to cook this thing, so I'm just going to stay in here. I want to align this on my Charjabug because Drifblim would have a terrible time against this Pokemon. So Meowscarada has done so much work already. My opponent stays in with Fearow. They throw a move. I'm figuring they're probably going to pivot out of this matchup right away. They actually throw the double moves, and once again, I don't really have to shield this yet. My Charjabug is still in the green, so just landing that move is decent for me. My opponent has Cradily in the back, which is very, very scary for us. Since we both swapped out of that matchup, it means that the timing is practically perfect. So my opponent does get to throw first there, unfortunately. But I am going to retaliate with this Icy Wind, and of course I'm going to shield the first Rock Tomb because it's going to be debuffed afterwards, so that's pretty good for us. Second Rock Tomb, not quite going to knock out just yet. And I make a little bit of a misplay here. I'm not able to knock out the Fearow with a Volt Switch there, and I throw the Icy Wind. Shadow Ball does considerably more damage in this matchup, but thankfully we are able to outpace the Cradily to the double moves there, so we're still able to take the win. But just so you guys know, if you can only throw one move with Drifblim and the Icy Wind is super effective and Shadow Ball is neutral, Shadow Ball will do more damage. On to the next team here though, we have Malamar, Corviknight, and Charjabug. Like I said in yesterday's video, Shadow Malamar is an absolute force to be reckoned with. I have not seen a single Bug Bite Fortress, so really enjoying this Pokemon. I'm going to overfarm quite a bit here with Malamar. I know my opponent doesn't really want to Air Cutter us. That really wouldn't do the damage it would have to knock us out. So I'm going to instantly shield this Payback because look at Corviknight's health, dude. Corviknight is going to get knocked out by 2 Foul Plays as long as I overfarm. We do actually shield the Payback, which is amazing for us. And yeah, if they no shield this, they're going to get knocked out. Unfortunately, I should have played to the Captai. My opponent, thankfully though, they only get off a Air Cutter, but if I played to the Captai to the Payback there, we actually do knock them out. My opponent brings in a Dedenne, and honestly, I just don't really have an amazing answer to this Pokemon. My team is kind of triple weak to it, right? So if anything, I kind of just want Corviknight into this thing so I can have a little bit of fast move pressure, but they did already lead weak to Charjabug, right? So I'm guessing they're probably going to be strong into Charjabug in the back anyways. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just bring in Charjabug, get some X-Scissors off if I can. I'm kind of just going to sack this Pokemon. If I land this X-Scissor, maybe it'll make my life easier to farm this Dedenne down. I'm actually going to bank a move on Charjabug because Dedenne is kind of just staying in there, which is a little bit weird. Bank a move on Charja. They bring in Cradily, and I'm glad I banked the move, but man, this is looking a little bit tricky. It's also a Bullet Seed Cradily, and my opponent, once again, not playing to the Captai there. Really reading me pretty bad. So yeah, I'm gonna have to let this Rock Tomb go. I cannot get to another move. Charjabug is just gonna get severely outpaced by Bullet Seed Cradily, and unfortunately we are just not gonna be able to take this game. I'm gonna shield this move, but it is a lost cause. Cradily is gonna get another Rock Tomb before we get even the back-to-back X-Scissors. So at that point I was kind of just hoping my opponent would try to make a weird catch, but yeah, GG's to my opponent there. Bullet Seed Cradily coming in clutch for them that game. On to the next battle here. We got Malamar into Cradley. Again, pretty decent matchup for us. My chat was telling me to full send here because Cradleys usually don't shield, but I am Shadow Malamar and I don't want to get debuffed quite yet. So I am going to bait with the foul play, and what do you know? We actually get the bait. So this is pretty decent for us because that means that I can confidently shield here. My opponent Grass Knots trying to look for the full knockout, and they don't get it. They bring in Charjabug, and again, I don't really have an exact answer to this Pokemon, so I'm going to overfarm quite a bit, pivot into my own Charjabug, and I know that thanks to all the Psywaves and the foul play landing, even if they land 2 X-Scissors, they are going to have to give me one of their resources, that being either switch advantage or shield advantage, right? So thankfully we can practically guarantee this matchup. So I'm going to farm up to the back-to-back, throw the first X-Scissor, and if my opponent wants to go down shields, be my guest. They don't want to do that though. They bring in Gastrodon, and oh boy, am I glad that we won switch advantage. I really don't want my Corviknight into that Cradley as much as I went in onto this Gastrodon, so we can bring in Corviknight here, just guarantee that this Gastrodon is not going to have anywhere to run, and we're just going to make sure we overfarm quite severely unless they swap. If they swap, I know I can tank this move. I really just want to have a payback banked. So we bank the payback, we bring in Cradley here, we have a lot of residual energy from the last matchup with Charjabug, so I know that a foul play will almost knock out at this point. We get the farm down, and that is going to be a good game for my opponent. I accidentally throw an alignment here. It's mostly just my phone overheating quite a bit, but my opponent no shields there, so we're able to farm all the way down and take the game. On to the next battle here, we got Malamar onto Lapras. A very good matchup for us. They have 0 fast move pressure into us, and they swap into their Charjabug. As you guys saw from last game, we know how to guarantee this matchup. If we land this foul play or even the Psywaves, we can go down shields to guarantee switch advantage or something. So as you can see, we kind of just overfarm. We cap tie it to the X-Scissor here. And this Charjabug is going to have to choose what they want to give me. Do they want to give me switch? Do they want to give me shield advantage? It looks like they want to give me switch. So they bring in Marowak. They get a perfect farm down, which is pretty good for them. But I know that I have a pretty good answer to this with my Corviknight. And I still have quite a bit of health on Malamar, so Malamar is just definitely my win con at this point. I'm just going to full send this payback, and whether they no shield it or shield it, I know that Malamar is just going to take the cake here. So my opponent's just going to overfarm more and more and more, and I don't care what they throw here, even if they knock me out with a Rock Slide. I'm just going to pivot into my Malamar and farm absolutely everything down. I get a little bit spooked here with the Charjabug. I think they can make another move, so I want to throw my energy here and guarantee that I have both of my shields still intact. I know that Lapras is never going to farm me down, and that Marowak is not going to survive more than 3 Psywaves, so if anything, they get 1 Mud Slap into us. But Malamar triple resist Psywave. So unfortunately for them, the fact that we didn't have to use shields anywhere throughout this matchup, it's going to come back and bite them. They bring in the Marowak to try and get some damage in, but unfortunately for them, it's just not going to be enough. Malamar is going to be able to severely outpace this Lapras, and that's a good game. On to the next game here. And once again, dude, Malamar just putting in so much work. It looks like my opponent knows as well, so I'm just going to full send a superpower here and dip. And if I can get this damage in, that'd be nice, but if I don't, it doesn't really matter. We do get the superpower damage in, which does put them into air cutter range, and we pivot into our Corviknight. My opponent brings in Talonflame, and honestly, this is a pretty scary Pokemon to see, but getting rid of this for our Charjabug is pretty decent. At this point, I can never shield here with my Talonflame. My opponent throws a Brave Bird, and that kind of like confuses me a little bit in who I want this farm with. I bring in Malamar, but of course, unfortunately, my opponent is going to get another move anyways. So that was definitely the right play to throw Brave Bird, give me the least amount of farm possible. We make a catch on the Malamar though. It looks like their Malamar is very scared of our Malamar, so I'm just gonna bring in my Charjabug here. It looks like I can get a full farm down and have a 2v1 matchup into the back line. And it is a Charizard. So this is going to be a very scary matchup for sure. I throw the Exeter here because I'm dumb, but it doesn't really matter. I think we can win this matchup, but I have to say, remember how I said my phone was really hot here? I wasn't really trying to throw my move yet, but my opponent makes a really nice catch. I have to give it to him. I wasn't really trying to throw my move anyways, so I feel like this was just going to be a guaranteed win, but regardless, my opponent will be able to outpace us here to the air cutter, or just, I guess, Dragon Breath us down, and that's going to be a good game. Very unfortunate last game there, but oh well. On to the next team here, though. We got another Meowscarada team. We got Quagsire in the lead, Meowscarada in safe swap, and Grumpig in the back. Grumpig honestly put in a tremendous amount of work in these last 5 games. We see Talonflame in the lead, and if it is non-shadow Talonflame, they can survive an Aqua Tail, but I'd never full send the Stone Edge. It's just too risky to have that shielded. And you never know if Quag is going to be good in the back or not. So if I can just go for Aqua Tail, land a little bit of damage, get a shield with another Aqua Tail, this is totally fine by me. I know I can side wave this Talonflame down later. Talonflame actually lets that go, and they bring in a Cradily. This is kind of a spooky Pokemon to see, and I don't want to quite throw away my Quag just yet, right? There might be a Basti somewhere, or maybe a Mud Slapper, so I want to make sure that I bait something out with my Grumpig here. This Cradily is staying in though, so I'm just going to throw this Dynamic Punch right away. I know that this will still knock out even though it's debuffed, and it seems like they just don't have an answer to Grumpig, right? So Grumpig has done plenty of work already. I don't really have to shield it. My opponent Rock Tombs there, which doesn't knock out, which means that they're forced to pivot. And what do you know? There is the Mud Slapper. So how are we going to play this out? I'm going to bring in my Quagsire here just to force some energy out of this Marowak. And now Meowscarada should be able to go to town. Marowak is going to outpace us to the Rock Slide here. And I just know that Rock Slide isn't going to do as much as Rock Tomb. My opponent makes a very sad bait. They try to make a catch on Cradily, but it doesn't really matter, right? Cradily has Bullet Seed. I'm not super scared of it. I know that at this point, I just have to guarantee that I get a shield or a knockout here, because the fast move pressure into the Marowak is just going to be too much for them. And yeah, my opponent is going to concede the match. GG's, trainer. On to the next battle here, we see Furret in the lead, and honestly, this thing is so scary for this team. Trailblaze is going to one-shot our Quagsire. Sucker Punches are going to delete our Grumpig. So very spooky here. Thankfully, we are able to land the Aqua Tail. My opponent waits like 87 turns to make sure we don't catch. So good play by them, but goddamn, trainer, it's not that deep. They are able to force a shield from us though, but they're burning the clock quite a bit here. Then maybe I can dance around. What do you know? It's a Bastiodon in the back. Very original pick, buddy. Thankfully though, like I said before, the clocks are quite misaligned here, so I'm trying to make sure that I can pivot out into my Quagsire, but I can't just yet, so I have to throw this move, bring in my Quagsire, force the Bastiodon to throw energy if they want to pivot back out. But I have so much energy on this Quag, and that Furret threw so much energy into us that I know that it's not going to be able to outpace us. So what does my opponent bring? They bring in Toedscruel. I was really hoping they would bring back in the Furret, because that Furret is such a problem. But even this Toedscruel is not going to appreciate all these Aqua Tails, right? So we throw the first, we throw the second, we get a shield. My opponent brings back in the Furret. We are able to throw another Aqua Tail, and please no shield, trainer. No, they shield. Very spooky, but it looks like we'll be able to get a full farm down here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to farm this all the way down. No reason to throw a move there. And I'm just going to go for these Dynamic Punches into the Toedscruel. Looking back on it now, I probably should have just full sent the Shadow Ball, but I think the threat of a second dynamic punch is just going to be enough, because I know that Toadscrew is very tanky, and so is Grumpig, surprisingly. Look at us survive that seed bomb like nothing, man. So yeah, maybe going for the double DP was the play, because we get the knockout, we get the 3-ball flex into the Bastiodon Toadscrew team, and that is going to be a good game. On to the next battle here, we see Scizor in the lead, and man, is this amazing. My backline is pretty weak into this Pokemon, so I am totally fine with this. I love playing out the 2-shield matchup here. Scizor's love playing out the 2-shield matchup into my Quagsire, but Quagsire, since we have 5-4, 5-4 pacing for these Aqua Tails, we can just consistently outpace this Scizor even if they bait us with Night Slash. It doesn't really matter if they bait in this matchup. Maybe it gets a little bit worse if they throw both Trailblazes, because we can just overfarm quite a bit, but I don't think it really matters. I can just fully outpace this Scizor even though they're throwing Night Slashes. The biggest worry here is if they make a catch and we don't knock out the Scizor, but my opponent does not want the smoke. They don't make a catch. They have an Azumarill in the back, and I think I'm just going to stay in here with my Quag, bank a bunch of energy, and just bring in my Grumpig. Azumarill doesn't really have an amazing matchup to Grumpig because Shadow Ball Psywave does so much damage. So we can kind of pivot out of here, bank all that energy on Quag, cap tie the Azumarill with a Shadow Ball. Definitely didn't intend to do that, but oh well, it works out. And look at that Shadow Ball land, man. That did so much damage. Play Rough is still not quite going to cut it. My opponent brings in a Dusclops, and we have a pretty good answer to this with Meowscarada. I know Ice Punch is going to hurt quite a bit here, but it's not really going to one-shot, and they can't ever Hex us down, so I'm not super worried. We can outpace to the double Night Slash here. I just have to be a little bit wary of a catch. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bank that energy on Meowscarada, right? I know Frenzy is going to do more than Stone Edge, so I snipe the Dusclops with my Quagsire, and now I feel like I made a misplay. If this doesn't knock out, they get to an Ice Beam on Meowscarada, but thankfully it does. So that's going to be a GG there. But yeah, I played that a little bit in a worse way that I could have. Because if I just knock out that Dusclops and force energy on Meowscarada, we just win the game on the spot. Regardless, another Scizor lead. And you guys, just like I told you, this is how I like to play this lead. I just like to, force all the shields down. I don't really care if they bait or not. This is really what I want to do with this Scizor. This thing is a massive problem for my backline, so if I can get rid of it here, that is a big win for me. My opponent actually doesn't want to play the 2 shields though, which is definitely, I guess, fine for me. They throw instantly with Feraligatr, which is really good for us because I can just bring in Meowscarada here. They don't really have an energy lead, and my opponent, once again, they do not want the smoke. They just completely leave the match, concede. Meowscarada was too much problem for them, and we're going to be able to win that game. But yeah, that is going to be the last battle. I sure hope you guys enjoyed this video. Honestly, I have to say the Grumpig team was definitely my favorite. I have not used Grumpig in so long, and now with the Dynamic Punch buff, Grumpig just feels so fun. Thankfully, we didn't see too many Bug Bite users or Sucker Punch users on it, so Grumpig was able to shine as much as it did. But yeah, once again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, please leave a subscribe. I would love that. If you guys want to check me out on Twitch, we do streams pretty regularly over there, so if you want to see these battles be made live, then come through and say hi. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys in tomorrow's video, and goodbye.